Hi, I'm John Kreitler, and welcome to Markets in the Economy. This macro minute, we'll be discussing inflation in further detail. We'll be looking at a historical period of inflation in the 1970s and can compare and contrast that to our present day post-COVID inflation. In his definitive book, The Power and Independence of the Federal Reserve, Peter Conti Brown described the situation in the 1970s as a culmination of the efforts and programs of the 1960s, the Johnson administration's Great Society programs, as well as the ramp up and prosecution of the Vietnam War. This created a strain in the federal budget under the Nixon administration. It was saddled with the decisions in the Bretton Woods Conference, post-World War II, that had the US dollar freely convertible to gold at $35 an ounce. While this ushered in a global growth trend post-World War II, it created a strain on the US dollar, trying to keep inflation in check while at the same time keeping interest rates low. The Nixon administration decided to break the link between the dollar and gold. This created a weaker dollar. Thereby, all things traded in dollars went up in value, specifically oil in the 1970s. As OPEC cut back the supply of oil, this created shortages and inflation throughout the global economy. There was a period of stagflation in the 1970s, higher inflation, higher unemployment, and slower growth. Arthur Burns, then Fed chair, raised interest rates to quell inflation. However, he reduced rates too quickly and inflation just ramped up again late in the 1970s. It wasn't until Paul Volcker, then chair in the early 80s, who raised rates, kept them there significantly long enough to break the back of inflation. Fast forward to now. The supply chains that were broken have been repaired, but the damage was done in terms of inflation in post-COVID. Too many dollars by way of stimulus programs by the federal government was chasing too few goods. To quell inflation, Fed Chair Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates since May of 2022. It remains to be seen if the higher for longer will mimic the Volcker era or that of Arthur Burns. Next week, we'll talk about the Federal Reserve further, its dual mandate, and its control over the money supply. I'm John Kreitler. Thank you again for watching the Markets in the Economy. Have a great week.